Good afternoon, Flosstube. This is Michelle at the Striped Rose, and today is Saturday, maybe April the 9th, and it has been a while, and I have a lot of piles of things around me. On Wednesday or Tuesday, I lost my needlework book of days. Cannot find it anywhere, and so I'm not going to be able to tell you anything in order. There's a cat flying through the air. This is Loki. I don't know if you remember last June, I showed him on the podcast, and he was a teeny tiny kitten, and now he's a big boy. Hector, don't you bite him. Hector is podcasting with me. I'd show him to you, but he's freaked out by the cat right now. All right, so I already tried to film this once. And I was showing you my favorite thing from market, the humming of the bees. And I started this, I need to furminate the cat. I started this on my birthday. Since I've seen you last, Mary Margaret got engaged in February. My 25th wedding anniversary was in February. And I turned 49 in March. My engagement ring is at the jeweler's. I took it in to get it more generously sized, and they said that 2 of the prongs needed to be repaired before I lost a diamond. So check your prongs. So this is on a piece of antique lace by Seraphim, and the colors were a little bit tricky. Once again, I didn't bring them over here. Bella, before you go upstairs, will you bring me that bin on the coffee table? I thought that this pink in the skein was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen, but it's actually really, really pretty. Thank you, sweetie. It's actually really pretty. The trick mostly is up here. It calls for Sage and Putty by Weeks Dye Works, and if you've used those two before, you know that sometimes they can be a little more yellowy brown, sometimes they can be a little more green, sometimes they look exactly the same. So what I did, you use Sage and Putty on these little things, and in these pods right here, I have several skeins of each. So I chose a browner, a tanner shade of Putty and a greener shade of Sage, so that there was more difference. And I think you can see it down here. This top border is Putty, and this one with all the green, that was a skein of Sage that I had. And also up here in these pods, it called for Harvest Basket, and I bought several skeins of Harvest Basket a few years ago when I wanted to do the Manor Hill Brenda Gervais. I still want to do them. And I want to do it on the Seraphim antique lace, I think. Maybe. But that was very yellow. So I went and looked at an older skein of Harvest Basket that was very washed out, pale, goldeny tan, similar to Putty. And I used that somewhere in here for the Harvest Basket. Now, one thing that I have changed is like this bird and these 2 pods are in Havana, and my Havana was very vivid. It was a very bright brown, and it really looked funky with these muted shades. So the DMC was 610. Excuse me, and I found an old Victorian motto thread that said 610 that had some green in with the 610 color, so that's what I'm using. The roof is apple cider, which nobody has apple cider, and some very nice people gave me some helpful suggestions on Instagram of what I could substitute, but I went to Stony Creek's website, and they had 3 skeins of apple cider left, and I thought, you need to buy all 3 because you do a lot of Blackbird, and I only bought 2. I mean, I don't even make sense to myself. The only other thing that I'm going to change the color on, and this is it. I mean, this is a big piece of fabric, but this is it. This border with the flowers, there's just one more border down here, and then that's it. It's not huge. It calls for tin bucket, and my tin bucket, I have 2 or 3 of them, and they're just very gray. They're not really inspiring, and in the picture, that looks, you know, I think the bottom part of the bird is, and then this cartouche. Those are tin bucket. And so I think I found Freedom, maybe by Classic Colorworks, and it's kind of I think that's what I'm going to use, because I'm not using my tin bucket because it's not very attractive. Okay. The main thing that I'm trying to finish right now, oh my gosh, I do have to show you this. I don't want you to see mess, and I don't want you to see, this is what's going on beside me. This is Hector, and the cat has curled up over here. That's Loki. Hector is surprised. We have 3 cats, and every time a cat walks through a room, Hector is surprised that there's a cat in his house, that there's more than one cat in his house. And he barks, and he growls, and he snaps, and he doesn't, and he looks at me like, why is this cat in my house? Can I kill it? I shouldn't have done that, but you had to see. Loki wants to cuddle up to Hector. Jerry says it's just because he knows it annoys Hector, but all right. The thing that I am trying to finish, it is April, and I did not knit a lot. I mean, I did not cross stitch a lot in November or December. I'll show you some things that I did work on, but I just didn't feel like it. And in January, I just knit. That's all I did. And I finished a shawl in January, started and finished a shawl in January, and started and finished one in February. And I tried to do the Desert Vista Dye Works Sock of the Month Club, but then I realized that I don't want any, I'm a chapstick addict, and my lips were dry. I realized I didn't want any pressure on me at all, even if it was to do something that I wanted to do, which was to have all these Desert Vista Dye Works socks. So then I got back in cross stitch in February, but I haven't had any finishes, and I have been working hard since February. So this is Gilles Leger by Reflet de Soie, and I don't have the picture with me. It's almost done. Whoops. It's almost done, and when something gets almost done, I get anxious. Well, I'm anxious all the time anyways, but I get really anxious, and I don't know. It just makes me anxious. So this side is done, except I'm going to put a crown of thorns somehow on that heart. It looks like the original sampler had one. These greens over here that are going to be the trees and bushes, I sort of at some point switched the greens I was using for different symbols, and now it takes brain power. And then there's, I think, a monstrance right there, and then some more words, and it would be done. And what I want to do is I want to paint Mary Margaret's old room. To annoy her, I call it Jamie's room, because when Jamie comes up here for the weekend, Mary Margaret goes and sleeps in her sister's room, and Jamie has Mary Margaret's room. So I call it Jamie's room to really annoy, and it really makes Mary Margaret mad, which I guess amuses me. I don't know. I want to paint it. There's this gray-green color that Tina at For the Love of the Stitches painted her daughter Emily's room a year or 2 ago. I think it's maybe Canyon Lake, I'm not sure, but it's a green-gray. And I want to put this on it. And then I want to take the 6 red samplers, alphabet samplers that I have, and put them on either side of it, above the bed. And I just think that would be the coolest thing. Sorry. I just think that would be the coolest thing ever, to have red samplers on either side of this French sampler. So I've been this week, I was sort of alternating days between 3 charts, but then I started humming of the bees, And now I'm trying to work on this just a little bit every day, because I've gotten back to my red sampler. Let me show you that. The red sampler I am still doing is Alice Lott's, and that may be Reflect a Swat too. I do have this picture. Oh no, that's the G. Leger chart. Oh, okay. I don't know where the chart is, but that is Reflect a Swat. And this is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. And so, but I'm back to doing 1 to 3 threads a day on this. But it's just a lot. Is this 40 count Newcastle, whatever the Newcastle antique white, or pretty much white. So at the bottom, I have some words that I've started, and then there's the border continues, and that's it. So it's not, I guess it's not that big. It's from there to there. But when you're doing these alphabets that are spaced out, and you can't, or I don't feel comfortable carrying, you know, and these spaced out motifs, it does seem to take forever. But I am down to, you know, I'm out of the alphabets. So I'll show you in a little while. This is a French sampler. I was trying to alternate French and German samplers. Most of the German samplers that I've got have come from European reproduction samplers. And they have French, and they have Belgium, and they have American and British. But I've been getting in the Germans. So this is French, and I'll do German next. And I'm using DMC 498, which is just my favorite. It's a rosy red. It's not an orange red. So those are the two things that I've been working on. And the charts are completely intermingled. So that will be a fun little task for me later. Okay. All right, so I want to get those two things finished up in April, if it's all possible. Now this is an old problem that I need some tea first. I got this, I think, at Valentine's Day. Roses are red, but I think it's an all summer long mug. All right, so, many years ago, on 28 count, probably, I started Mary Tillinghast, and I love it. I mean, what is there not to love? 1/1, that's what there is not to love. But I did it. It was on 28 count, like that's 1/1. Motifs, her face, just little things are 1/1. I wanted to, and then I forgot. I was going to get all my sheepish designs that I've had framed or that need to be framed. I mean, I have almost all the charts. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the fact that for decades, ever since I discovered eBay, I've been searching and hunting for sheepish designs, and I found most all of them. But I wanted to tell you, things are falling, that Kitten Stitcher has a ton. Did I see him on McKenna's 1884? I may have seen him on 1884 too. But I did see him on Kitten Stitcher. And she's got a lot of them. And they look like they're the original prices. I don't know. There's sheepish antiques and sheepish designs. So I started this a million years ago. And it's on Zweigart. It may be 32. Okay, so Michelle, what is not done? There are some free-handed green strands, leaves that may or may not get done. This window has 1/1 cream-colored panes, and I tried it, and it just didn't seem worth it. That butterfly is supposed to be more filled in, but I'm fine with it the way it is. I finally did the satin stitch on her hat and her hair. I'm not thrilled with it. There may be some flesh colored arm to go with that yellow sleeve. I don't know, but these little dogs are 1/1. I thought there were more dogs. Oh, whatever that is. I don't know if that's a dog or a rabbit. All right, now here's the bad part, the part that I don't want to do. These free-formed flowers, there's not really exact instructions on how to do them. So I did those two, and that's the best I can do. I'm not trying any better. That's the best I can do. But I need to repeat them over here, and then I'm done. So I really want to go to the framer, and I'll show you, well, I'll show you right now. It's going to be a while before Gilet Leger is done. Usually it takes the framer 2 weeks. So if I could just sit down and make myself freehand that little yellow and that little blue flower. Oh, and here. Some 1/1 stitches right there that I just didn't finish. Then I could take this. I have several things that I want to get framed for my blue sampler wall. And it doesn't make sense, you know, not to take the biggest thing, because that's going to be, you know, reshuffling and rehanging. And my husband says I'm destroying the structural integrity of our house, and on and on and on. So I'll just show you some other things that I want to get framed with this. And then 2 weeks later, I could go back and pick them up and maybe have Gilet Leger finished to take. This, I don't think you can find this anymore. This used to be a Sheepish Design freebie. I don't even know if I know where it is anymore. I think the wings were supposed to be satin stitched, and I didn't do it. So I'd like to get that framed. I thought I'd put it at the entrance to the house, but we have a lot of stuff right there at the entrance to the house. This I want to take, and I did. I fixed the top of one of the T's. So this is Plum Street, of course, a riff on Adam and Eve. Fishes and bait, when... Nope, I didn't do it. See, I didn't put the top on that H. When a woman marries, then troubles her fate. Not a very nice thing to say, but it's funny when you think about Paulette and her quirky sense of humor. My husband's not amused by it, but he hasn't followed Plum Street samplers for years and years and years and know her quirky sense of humor. So I'm putting that on my blue wall. I'd kind of like to have this framed tight on my blue wall. And sometimes it seems like a waste of money to get a really small thing framed. Like I got this framed. So this is kind of maybe this is a little bigger, I don't know. But if I had this as a pillow, a little pin tuck or something, or, you know, it would look cute. It would look really cute in a basket, but would it get lost? Would the cat come and get it and play with it? Would my daughters want that? I don't know. I just think about all kinds of things, and I think if it's framed, to me it seems safe and secure, which, you know, the way I drop things, and it's not actually safe and secure. But and I don't know, I just feel like I can do more with it. I can put it in an easel, I can put it on a bookshelf, I can put it on the wall. I don't know. I'm still up in the air about that, because that just seems like, but it would look good on a wall with, you know, all different sized samplers. So that's something I'm thinking about. Here is another mermaid. This is from Carriage House Sampling. I don't know what's wrong with me. It said Margaret Mailey, Mailey. That was the name. I just love I really love that. And at the time I wasn't putting names on samplers. I didn't put Mary Tillinghast on that sampler until last year. I wasn't really putting other people's names on samplers. So I wanted to put Mary Margaret because my daughter's name's Mary Margaret, but obviously Mary Margaret wouldn't have fit. So I put Margaret Mary, who's a saint, and a lot of people are named Margaret Mary after the saint. So I don't know if that was nice of me to put Margaret Mary on a half-naked mermaid, or I don't know, but I did it, and it's not coming out. And the shading, this is DMC, the colors, the shading, it's just fantastic. Kathy Barrick, I was trying to say like Carrie, I don't know, but the shading, it's just fantastic. I mean, it's just amazing. This is from the Gift of Stitching magazine. And when I say blue sampler wall, I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, I've showed it. I don't know if you personally have seen it or committed it to memory or anything. Blue is just my designation for that group of samplers, but there's obviously other shades up there. I have a red sampler wall, a red and white schoolgirl sampler wall, a blue sampler wall, and a pink sampler wall, and I'm working on a great aunt sampler wall. And so those are not hard and fast rules. It's just general. So this would go on the blue sampler wall in my mind. This is Joan of Arc. And there were, in the Gift of Stitching magazine, I can't remember who the designer was, there were several squares of her life. And I did this one. I love St. Michael. And I really like this. And I'm glad that I did this when I was stitching on 32 or 28 because it's big. And I really like that. I really like that. It looks like I used 3371 and oh my gosh. Would you look at there? I just can't with myself sometimes. I just can't. So those are some things that I want to get framed along with Mary Tillinghast. Oh, and there's one more upstairs. So that when I have to reconfigure that wall, I only have to do it one time. And then I want to wait for another group to go on there. Not that another group would fit on there. I want to get another group before I mess it all up again. I've got dogs and cats where things need to go. Okay, so in my Mary Tillinghast bag, I shoved in another sampler. There used to be, oh, you want to see a rat nest? I think it's very important for backs to be neat. That's just my opinion. Do I always follow that? Apparently not. Tell me what is going on here. Don't know. Wow. Alrighty. This is from a long time ago, but yeah. Anyway, whatever. It'll be fine. I'll trim it up some and it'll be fine. This is a Tennessee sampler, and I got the chart. I think it was on the cover of a Antique Needlework Quarterly, Antique Sampler and Needlework Quarterly. I finished this in 2010, sort of. I don't even live in White County anymore. All I have left to do this year, I filled in the yellow centers on these flowers. I have to do a 1/1 bird, which I've already started. Which I had started probably in 2010, and a little twig that it's on. And I think there might be, nope, I've got the berries there, and that's it. And I want this to hang on one side of my bed, and it's pretty much done. It has a nice 4-sided stitch alphabet. So all I have to do, finish that bird and give him a little twig to sit on. And I know where it's going to hang. I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. Now, there used to be a blog called the Tennessee Sampler Survey, I think. And maybe, so I finished that in 2010. So that Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly would have been in 2010, 9, or 8, something right around there probably. And either in that edition, or there was one other edition that had a Tennessee Sampler, there was a nice article about the Tennessee Samplers. Really interesting. And I don't know if that Tennessee Sampler Survey blog is archived and you could go and find it, but if any, I think it just stopped at some point, but if anybody knows, you know, what's going on with that group, the Tennessee Samplers are really interesting. Really, really interesting. Okay, so at the end of the year, I did work on a few things. I finished this Mary sampler by Plum Street Samplers. It was a free chart. It probably still is there on Plum Street Samplers. I think I used, no, I didn't use any of the called for colors, except maybe the yellows, the golds. And there are two versions. I did the version that is more full. There's also another version with less. So, you know, whichever one you prefer. I did this that was probably from a Just Cross Stitch, but I don't remember anything about it. It was from a Just Cross Stitch. And I did a couple of, I finished this last year. I had it started from before. That's by Little House Needleworks. And I used the call for DMC on that. I tried to do, I was going to do 6 Prairie Schooler Santas last year. And I got 4. I got that one. This one, which I obviously had spacing problems. I love this one. And, oh no, this is the one I had spacing problems on. Yeah, I don't really know what happened there. So I did 4, which is, it's good. So that's 2 years in a row that I've done 4 Prairie Schooler Santas. Didn't get them fully finished this year. But I did start a 5th last year, which will be one of my 4 from this year. I think this came out last year. Isn't he handsome? And I'm trying to use the same colors as the Prairie Schooler Santa so that he'll match them. Oh, I don't have much at all here. I think he may be a little smaller than the Prairie Schooler Santas. That's what I've got for him. So, I like him. I need to get back to him. Okay. I thought today, you know what I should do? I should stitch a turkey a month, because last November I went turkey crazy. Turkey cross stitch crazy. And I looked up all the turkeys cross stitch patterns, and I put them all in my wish list, and I got out all the ones that I have, and I just went completely and totally turkey crazy, and I forgot until today when I was getting things out. And then I thought, you know, next year or this year in November, I'm going to wish that I had done a small turkey a month. And there are enough small turkey patterns where you could do that. The Prairie Schooler. I did this. This was a freebie from somebody. I'm sorry. If you really want to know, I can look it up and see. It was just a freebie I printed off the internet. I just thought that would be sweet. And then I saw Tina, for the Love of the Stitches. She was doing this design. And, you know, I told myself I had to finish this before I started something else, and that's probably one of the reasons I didn't stitch a lot. in November. This is a free chart by Twin Peaks Primitive. And I'm just going to flash it. You can see that it had a lot more underneath it. Tina just did the 2 turkeys. She didn't do the stars above them. And the word Thanksgiving. And left off the really pretty grapevine pattern at the bottom. The grapevine pattern would be a really pretty pillow, I think, in and of itself. But, so I thought I would do the same thing. You know, just finish the turkey and in a burgundy color do the Thanksgiving. But now, I don't know if it's because I'm lazier or more simple. I don't know. I think I'm just going to finish the turkey and the pumpkin and leave it at that. But that's a really nice freebie, I think. I think that's a really nice. So Twin Peaks Primitives. And I'm just using random threads. This is a Victorian motto thread. This is a Victorian motto thread. I used to be in their club. And then this is a Weeks Dye Works cognac for like the ridges of the pumpkin. Okay, so that's stuff I worked on. Oh, well, I've still got whips from this year. Okay, I did have a new start in February, an out of my mind start. This GGR, I love it. I've wanted to do it. You can get online and find pictures of people who have, I guess this is original, find people who have done it. It has a very, very long color list, and most of the stitching is like confetti stitching. So I started out trying to find the overdyed cottons, but I think that DMC is better for this project, because when you stitch kind of a big piece with overdyed cottons, you see how the variegation works together. But when you're just stitching 2 or 3 stitches of a color, you're not getting the cohesion. You may get, you know, here it may be really light and the same color called for where else is really dark. So some of these are overdyed and some of these are DMC, and I think from here on out I'm going DMC. This is on fawn, which I've decided is like one of the most beautiful. It's a lot darker. It's a lot darker than it is in all this light. But that is something that I will come back to, but I feel like I need a finish under my belt for 2021. I mean, we're into April. I mean, it's been 3.5 months. January wasn't a heavy stitching month, but February and March and April so far, I have worked my tail off stitching. I think there were 2 days in March that I didn't stitch. One was because of a dance competition, and then one of the days I went to see my grandmother. This I started last year, and I've been working on it, but I got disgusted with myself. Sorry, I got disgusted with myself one day this past week. Oh man, just throw everything in the floor. That's good. All right, so the drawn thread has welcomes. They have a Halloween, an autumn, a spring, and a patriotic. They have a Christmas and a winter, and I was going to do the winter because I really wanted to do the scarf, but I really wanted to do those stockings, which is why I'm disgusted with myself right now. And I don't really like snowmen, so I didn't want to do the snowmen, so I thought I'll do the star. So what I've eventually done, how many letters are in welcome? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've actually chosen 3 from one chart and 3 from another. So I started with the pine cones, the scarf, and then instead of doing snowflakes, I did the L, the White House right there. Instead of doing the snowman, I'm doing the star. And then I like this tree better, so I'm going to do it. And I think I liked that bird better. So I don't know if that made any sense. So I'm just making things more difficult for myself. This is a piece of Wayfarer's Cloak by Legacy. I think it's 38 count. I don't really like it. So I've done the pine cones. The colors are a little different in each chart, so I need a really good pine color to do the pine leaves. I'm doing the stars. So, okay, those stockings. Ow! Whew. That was really, I don't know how I did that. Okay. The stockings. I stabbed myself with a nail. Yesterday, I learned how to, my grandmother, we just discovered, has diabetes. And so, yesterday was the first day that I went where I had to learn how to do the, you know, take the sticks. Boy, that's I mean, I'm sure it's a pain in the neck to be stuck all day, you know, 3 or 4 times a day, all day long, but oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry, Hector. Excuse me. I have to go and get something. Okay. All right, I'm right here. I'm back. Just didn't want to get blood on my cross-stitch linen. Did you see my pajama bottoms? Okay. So if you see these stockings, they look really, really intricate, right? Yeah, that's because it's 1/1. And that's fun. I'm just doing a 10 stitch. This is 40 count. You know what? I don't even know where that needle is. Okay. Is Pat Carson not? Pat Carson died in November last year. Did you know that? It's very sad. I think she did. Oh, I'm pretty sure she did. Oh my gosh. I need to like fact check this video, but my husband just wants to upload it. I don't know. I can't find these Pat Carson needles anywhere. So even though that one just, you know, Sleeping Beauty. Okay. So here we go. So I did it. I'm doing 1/1 and I'm only doing a 10th stitch, but I feel like I got anxious and I was stitching too tightly and I feel like I've kind of warped it somehow, even though I was working one way and working back the other way. But it was actually kind of fun. I don't know. This has a dark gold in between these red bands and in the center of those red flowers. But I don't know. I was kind of excited about that until I saw that it looked like I had kind of warped it. And I think mostly Dinky dyes. Except I think I'm using Schoolhouse Red. So that is kind of fun. It's not very big. It's not going to be very big on 40 count. I mean, that would be a good one to do on a larger count if you like stitching with more than one thread. Is this video already chaos? Okay. So when I was trying to finish Gilles Leger, I picked 4 patterns and I was going to just work 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 a day on each. You know that didn't work, but this was one of the ones. One Market, this was my favorite thing in the entire world. And I don't know why I felt like, oh, this is going to take forever, and so I just didn't do anything at all. I think that is Freedom up there, the one that I said I was going to use in Humming of the Bees. I know the red I chose was Baked Apple, and that green is maybe hazel brown or hazel green from Color and Cotton, I think. That's Garden Gate, and I have no idea what color he is. And Eve doesn't have to match him, but his leg should match the rest of him. So I got to figure that out. But I think I've done the hard part. You know, I've pretty much built the house at this point, which actually was pretty enjoyable, I thought. So that would be another small one that I feel like, you know, would be, I don't know, it seems less economical to frame the small ones, but I want it framed because I like sitting them around. I like pretending that bugs can't get into them. I don't know, Mary Margaret rented a violin for a while, and I mean, she played the violin for like 7 years, and she finally decided she was going to stop in high school because she just she didn't have time for something she didn't love. I mean, you don't in high school. And we left it in its case for like 2 months before I returned it. I mean, I paid for it. I paid the 2 months, but nobody touched the violin for 2 months. So when he took it, so when I brought it back and he was inspecting it, the bow hair was just shredded. And he said there's some, I don't know, weevil or something that eats bow hairs, the strings on the bow. It's like, you know, how did that creature know there was a violin in my house from how far away it was? How did it know to come to my house and and invite all of its family and friends to come to my house and eat that bow string? I don't know. Okay. Another thing that I was going to work on till I got disgusted was flag folk. I started this. Did I start this last 4th of July or the 4th of July before? I think it's cute. I love it. I want to do a patriotic wall at my mom's house because I don't have enough walls. I've got mostly windows. So I chose blue corn for my blue because that's my favorite. I finally picked a green out. It might be Garrison green that I liked. And I finally got in a Schneckley that is not just straight up brown. Is this? Yeah. So, now that I've got the Schneckley in, I think I'll go ahead and do the people's tops. So, talking about getting things framed in a group, I'd like to finish that and this for my mom so she can hang them up together. I think this was a 4th of July star one year. The problem is I wasn't crazy about the light yellow, so I went to Brandy maybe? Oh, I guess I should get it out of the bag. It's in a really cute bag. They're all in really cute bags. This one was by Creative Carol. Oh, you can't see. You can't see the fabric. It was the bicycles with American flags. I really like that. And the bunting. I like bunting. Okay, it's been a while since I've done this. So if I've said crazy things or just sort of... Okay, so the problem with this is I got this blue and I didn't like it. And instead of just changing the blue, I hemmed and hawed and put it away. And I take it out a lot to look at it and to see, do you still hate the blue? Yeah, I still hate the blue. I don't hate the blue. I just don't like the blue in this project. Blue Jay. There's nothing wrong with the blue. It's just, it was just too bright for me. I don't know. So I finally decided to get out my favorite blue. The blue that I used in Flag Folk. The blue that you just can't go wrong with. That I almost liked. I don't know if I like this or Freedom better, but blue corn. And I'm going to pull those stitches out and do it with blue corn. And then I'd like to get those. I mean, those should not take forever like G Leger. They should not take that long. But I waffle around about the colors. Okay. So I was doing G Leger, that Adam and Eve with the big red house, which is a blackbird pattern, and one or the other of the patriotic pieces. The fourth one that I was working on in that short-lived rotation before Humming of the Bees captured my heart, is one that I really want to finish like right now. And I've worked a lot on this one. And this is the 3 loose feathers. Okay, you notice I said 3 loose feathers? Yeah, well, I can't find the first one. Can't find it. I mean, I own it. I have stitched practically all of it. I just need to look at it to see what the center of the flower is and if there's something right there. That's all I need the chart for. I think maybe to fill in that flower, but the center of this flower, because I know what color I'm using for the center, and to see if there's something right there. And I've lost the chart, and I just don't want to spend $9 for a blackbird chart that I already have when there's other $9 blackbird charts that don't have that I want. So maybe it's somewhere with my stitching book of days. So and the other problem, I just ordered a pumpkin pie. I cannot find that pumpkin pie that I used for this orange, which is fine. If I have, you know, I did these orange leaves, an orange door, part of this pumpkin is orange. It's blackbird. I mean, in a border, they switch, you know, 2 or 3 greens off and on, off and on. So if I have to switch to another orange halfway through a blackbird, that's fine, because sometimes they actually chart it that way. So that's not a problem. And this, I'm mostly just, oh yeah, here's why I stuck myself, because I just poke all my needles everywhere. So I've been working down this side, and I really love the colors. This is 2 colors that are sort of alternated. I love those. So yeah, I just need to find my stinking chart so I can stitch, you know, 20, figure out the stitches in the middle of that, and if there's something down there. So this is something that I really want finished soon. And I think that I would fudge the center of that flower before I bought another chart, because there are blackbird charts that I don't have that I'd like to spend my money on instead of one that I do have. But sometimes I think that when I lose charts, I've stuck it in with another project somehow. This was my first Creative Carol bag. No, it wasn't. This might have been my second. Almost time to plant zinnias. Of course, it's freezing here today. By freezing, I mean, like, you know, 40 degrees, which is kind of freezing. Okay, so when I finish that, because now my rotation is the Humming of the Bees, which is just, I love that, and Gilet J. I love it, but as Carol says, it's overstayed its welcome, and I want it up on the wall, which I have to paint first. And then the Blackbird Design Seasons. And then when I finish Blackbird Design Seasons, I really want to finish this. I'm doing it on one piece of fabric, and I don't want to do words in the middle. I want to find another, basket from another chart that I could put in there. And I almost wondered, I haven't looked to see yet. No, I wondered if one of these might fit. Oh, and I was going to tell you something else about this sampler. I love the muted alphabet at the top, and then like the pop of the red right there. I think that's genius. I love it. I absolutely love it. But there's a picture inside of the original sampler, which I don't want to show you too much because it's inside the chart. You can tell they really changed the colors up. But the verse says, "For thy name's sake, O Lord, pardon mine iniquity, for it is great." And then it has her name and her age. And, you know, I can see why that wouldn't appeal to everybody. But I really liked it. And I wanted to put my name, and then instead of my age, I wanted to put North Georgia. You know, you think of North Georgia and South Georgia and West Georgia and coastal Georgia, you know, it's sort of distinct regions, and I'm very much from North Georgia. And my college used to be called North Georgia College. The college I went to, that my parents went to, that my grandfather went to, it used to be called North Georgia. And I was very unhappy when they changed the name. But so I want to put that instead of my age, Michelle, North Georgia. But that requires charting. I found something online because I just wanted to do a free thing online, and I started charting it, but you know, it's not that fun to sit there and try to chart it. and it didn't save. So I need to start it over because I really do. But you can't go wrong with that alphabet either. The shading in the alphabet is beautiful. So this is on a piece maybe of Heritage by the people in New Jersey. Silk Weavers. And I'm using most of the called for colors, except I went with a lighter blue for those berries. I had stitched with the darker blue right there. I mean, it's not a terribly dark blue. There's nothing wrong with it. And I think what I'll do, because I'm not picking that out, there's no reason to, is it just calls for blue in a couple of places, and I think that I'll just alternate or combine the dark and the light. I just fancied that lighter blue at that particular moment in time. And that is a glorious basket of flowers. It's not, of berries, isn't it? There's a color. I didn't really like my lichen, so I need to find a substitution for that. But that is a glorious basket of berries. So I'm looking forward to finishing the Blackbird Designs Seasons, and then, I'm sorry, I'm dropping everything. Going back to that, and this big pile over here is about to fall on a sleeping Ramses. I did work a little bit, because I was, you have Blackbird fever when you're waiting and waiting for their designs to come out at market. I did work a little bit more, just like one day, on A Joyous Day, and this is something that I want to pull back out maybe when Berry Bowl is finished. And I really need to cut down my fabrics. Oh, let's not pack ourselves again. I just did the yellow flower, the bird, and that leaf. And the whole reason that this one isn't, has more work on it, is the endive. I've got like 3,000 endives. I stitch endive in just about every single Blackbird Designs. I don't have any problem with endive. I mean, I like almost every green that there is. But for some reason, I don't know. And so I thought, well, I'll go and do Garrison green, which is what I did in Flag Folk. And then I thought, why would I pick all that green out? Why? So I've told myself I'm not picking it out. I'm leaving it like this, and I'm going to finish it, and I'm going to be happy. Okay. That doesn't always work with me. Which, the next thing I'll show you, this is the last project I have to show you. I have not worked on this in maybe a year. I don't know. This is the series of 9 charts. I don't know why they're in this bag. And I'm doing it for my mom, and I love the blues. I mean, I love all of it. Putty's in there. Endive is probably in there. I don't know if Endive's in there or not. It's glorious. And I finished the first one. The first of 9. It's not even a 12-parter. It's just 9. And it's beautiful. This is the only time I've ever stitched on Picture This Plus. This is where I started the second one. So we'll just ignore that because it's going to get picked out. So, Laura and Brenda have said over and over again that Picture This Plus's weave is a little tight. It's not a flaw. It's not it's just something you need to know going in that, maybe 36 would be better. It's better for Laura. Maybe it would be better for me. But for some reason, I ordered this really pretty piece of 40. Now, this is some wild over-dyed fabric. And I'm wading into over-dyed fabric very slowly. The Seraphim Antique Lace is perfect for me. But this is for my mom, and my mom likes the wild and crazy fabric. And I was like, oh, it is really tight. So I played around with just some random needles I had, and I found it's another 28, but it just feels like a slimmer needle than the Pat Carson, which I really like because it just feels bigger. It feels bigger than other 28s. But I found another needle. It's not in here now. And it's thinner and it's fine. And I finished it. I did the lazy daisies. I did everything. And then, oh man, do you remember which one I poked myself with? Because here's the needle. I'm going to have to rewatch this thing to find out. But then I didn't pick it up and didn't pick it up and didn't pick it up. And I think about it, and sometimes I come in and pillage some of the blue threads for other projects. But why haven't I picked this up? I want to give it to my mother. It's Blackbird. I think it's beautiful. And so the only thing I can think of is I'm not entirely comfortable with the tightness of this 40 count. So I ordered a half yard of Seraphim antique lace from Seraphim. I haven't gotten a shipping notice. I don't know when that will be. So I'm just going to let it sit until that comes. And then I'm going to start it over on the Seraphim. And if I like that, if it's like lights a fire in me to really work hard on it, then I'm going to pick out the little bit of number 2 that I've done, and then make my mom, or let my mom make for herself, a little pin pillow. So nothing here is lost except, you know, those couple little stitches. Everything's good, right? This is a happy, it will be a happy ending, because that would be a great little pin cushion for my mother to make for herself. Hi, Mom. Okay. All right. That's all the stitching that I have to show you. If you need to take a break, okay. I'm going to end this because my husband said the longer it goes, the harder it will be to upload. So I'm going to end it, and then I'm going to come back and start another one, and I'm going to show you the haul I've gotten for the past several months. I don't know if it's going to be everything from the last time I podcast, which was September or October, but there's a big chunk of it. Then I'm going to show you the charts that are calling to me today very strongly. Some of them have been calling me all week. Start me, start me, start me. Then I'm going to show you just a little crochet and knitting. And then I'm going to show you some sourdough books, sourdough cookbooks that I have really, really been enjoying. I have been making tons and tons of sourdough. So that segment will probably only be 20 or 30 minutes. And I'll do the crochet and knitting at the end. So come back if you want to see just straight up charts. Some old, some new, okay? It was good talking to you again. I hope I didn't say terribly crazy things. It's possible, but I will talk to you again in just a few minutes. Bye.